Oh, thank God. I have the right overlay and everything. Hello, Julia. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. We're getting into the first best of 3 right now. Spotty here in the bottom left corner of the map for the fight before Christmas. I give you the red Darren Blair, MarineLord.
In the upper right, as the pink Zerg, it's DaNa.
Well, appears to have found a team or at least a clan of some sort.
Test 2.
Yeah, DaNa was one of the 2 miscreants who, him and Petraeus broke StarCraft 2 on Monday, if you guys didn't see the video of that. It is on YouTube. It is a 50-minute, 1-hour-long Broodlord vs. Broodlord game that got to the point where units could no longer spawn and everything started breaking. Best story game ever! But, yeah, so I mentioned this because DaNa's shown, if you guys did see the entire tournament there, he's actually a pretty darn good player. Got really far, and I expect him to do well today.
Well, I expect MarineLord to do well, so what's gonna happen, Rifkin?
The unstoppable force meets the immovable object, zombie grub.
Oh no, what happens then?
I think one person just wins and moves on.
Oh. Alright then, that's fine. That's cool.
It's hard to, like, I think most of the time I would put my money on MarineLord. This guy's improved so much over the last half a year, but so is DaNa, right? Like, these are probably the 2, I'd say, more underdog players when it comes to the European scene, just period. Like, these aren't going to be your first bets, but these are the guys who will have the most chance to, like, upset you when you're watching a series. It's a little unfortunate, by the way, that they did meet each other this early on in the brackets, but again, it was all randomized, and we didn't have proper seeding because everything is just falling apart for this qualifier. But this appears to be the only match that kind of gets quote-unquote screwed over early on, but at the same time, I mean, chances that they would have met each other in the quarterfinals or the semifinals anyways.
Yeah, unlikely they would have met each other in the, well, you don't meet each other in the finals because both of you just move on, so...
Yeah, top 2 from today qualify, guys. It's 1 European group. It's 1 group per region. It's 16 players for this tournament, not 32 like the previous one.
Yes, that's how math works. Awesome.
And I think well, actually, hold on. I was going to start talking about something completely irrelevant, but I'm waiting to see. We got the Reaper coming out here on MarineLord. I mean, standard is the standard does. I don't really know this guy to play mech, but I know that he can. I've seen him play it once or twice before, but for the most part, like, I'm expecting to see a pretty standard game out of this, I think. Marines, Medivacs, Banelings, Zerglings, Mutalisks.
Well, I expect to see a Banshee opener. I think it's a pretty high, you know, percentage that I'm going to get that right, so I'm just going to go with it. We do have something a little more interesting in that he bothers to get a second Reaper. He could also bother to get the third one. Overgrowth, there's not really any great map Reapers anymore except Catalina, which no one plays on, according to our last qualifier. But Overgrowth's not like a bad choice for it. You know, 3 Reapers is still a lot of, you know, damage soaking capability when you get those Hellions, and just a lot of damage output as well. And he doesn't actually do that. He just goes for the 2. It doesn't even keep one at home. It's a little dangerous, but hey, now he's going to be able to get maybe a couple more lane kills.
Well, I got a drone for this. Something that actually doesn't happen too often, so good start for him, that's for sure. But yeah, the second gas on the way, I think you're pretty safe in calling that very regular opening.
Yeah.
I loved how you justified it too. It wasn't just like, oh, I think it's gonna go Banshees because of X or Y reasons. It's like, because there's a good chance I'm probably right. Like, just like...
That's how you play on ladder. I don't know what he's doing, but there's a pretty high percentage.
Just roll the dice. Roll the dice.
Yeah, I'd be lucky like that.
It's kind of funny that we are at the time of StarCraft 2, where that is something you kind of have to call nowadays, though, with the different options.
Ooh,
you know, once upon a time,
it's an armory,
and a third Reaper this early.
I was wrong.
You were wrong. Get wrecked. But this is actually what I was leading into. I was gonna say, when like a long time ago, you didn't have a lot of different options as Terran. You didn't have the option of doing Hellbat all-ins versus Medivac pushes versus like a Banshee opener with Hellions. There was only the one opener, Hellion Banshee, and there really was no alternative. So it's cool to see there's different options, but this one, I'm not sure. I like this so much better with Marines and the Medivac. What are your thoughts on the fact that he's going with extra Reapers?
You know, the third Reaper doesn't surprise me so far. If you got like a fourth one, I'd be like, what the flip? Oh, actually, there's one right there.
Yeah,
we've actually been seeing, maybe not the third Reaper, but definitely the second Reaper come out after they've already swapped over. Which is a little, you know, it's just a little more interesting. They did the third Reaper afterwards, but hey, that's what he's gonna do. It also looks like he is going to go for a Banshee follow-up, which isn't a bad move. The only thing that would really hurt is if he was going for a 2-base Spire, which he's not.
I just feel like this push for MarineLord is all kinds of awkward. It's gonna get some link kills. But this is 4 Hellbats, not 8. There's no metamax support. He fries the Lings alive. I mean, that's kind of a given. It's Hellbats versus Zerglings, but I mean, the Queens look like they're gonna hold this. He even pulls back a really weak one.
I mean, the thing is that he knew that he was not scouted. At no point did an Overlord come in and see the armory, or even like, I don't know, like Hellions being gathered up in the natural or anything like that. So why not wait for those 8 Hellions? I don't know what like the earlier timing doesn't seem like, you know, the Queens obviously were capable enough to handle it.
Just strange opening here on the MarineLord, I guess, just where I'm hung up on. But I do like the Banshee follow-up. It's not like he's let up on the pressure in Zombie Grub. Lo and behold, we actually have a pretty decent wall from a Terran player on Overgrowth.
What is this? I don't understand. Of course, he's got to put it in the main, and I guess like that's another reason why people do it at the natural walls. It's just that much closer to the third. Yeah, whatever. It also gets you killed, but that's fine. Get look at some Hellions here now. It's not the worst thing in the world because he actually is not going for bio. He talked about like maybe he's not the most meching player, but he's going for mech. So losing Hellions is kind of like you're gonna have minerals anyways, so replenishing them's not gonna be a big deal.
Well, just while we got a small break here before it picks up, big shout out to Iron Jirai. Just resubbed to the channel. Welcome back, friend. And thank you for that sub. But okay, we got the Hellbat transformation once again. This time it will be paired up by, well, actually the Banshee went towards the main. Chipping away here at the Queen. And you know, the layer's on the way. It's going to be quite some time before we get that Overseer up. But the Spore Crawlers are coming down. The Banshee's going to be somewhat limited. But the focus has to be here on the left side. There's 5 Queens for defense, but they were a little bit bunched up, so they took that damage. Zerglings want to get involved with the fight, but of course it's always scary versus Hellbats.
Adding a little bit of damage, a little bit of soaking up, and that'll be just barely enough. Ooh. Last Queen will survive, and he'll, it wasn't so bad either. You know,
I'm actually surprised the Lings got out of there alive. Any of them. I think 2 lived in that fight.
Yeah, I guess so. It's now like I don't know about losing all of that without those many Hellions. Now he really doesn't have anything back at home. Luckily, it is only Lings, so as long as he doesn't let them inside of his base, it should be okay. But also DaNa, like, okay, so you saw a Hellbat opener into more Hellbats into Banshees. You gotta start figuring out that it's mech, right? If he hasn't already scouted it.
Right, and this is one of those incredibly awkward scenarios where, like, had he gone like maybe 2 base, like Muta opener, he would have just completely shut down MarineLord, right? But
yeah.
DaNa is gonna finally push those Banshees back. At the end of the day, took about 12 drones and losses. Not too bad. I really think though the big thing was he was trying to kill those Queens so badly, so those Banshees would have had nothing to oppose them. Like, you make an Overseer, great, but if there's nothing to shoot them, then who cares? Small Link counterattack attempting to go off here. We also get a drop from the creep. He's got a couple of good kills. There's not a lot of Hellbats left, but as long as the wall gets raised, this shouldn't be too much issue. MarineLord's actually going to go north of his base instead, so a bit of a fake out with those refineries. Waiting to cancel them.
Well, with no anti-air himself, it would have taken forever to kill that Overlord. Just 2 Thors about to pop out.
So, I mentioned at the start of the game that I don't really know MarineLord to be like a typical meching player, but he is going to be playing mech this game. Again, this isn't something where, first off, we were both wrong with our calls for this game, but this base...
I said he was gonna go Banshees.
Okay, eventually, yeah. Like, I guess there were technically Marines at some point. Anyways, this third base I think actually works a lot better for if you're playing mech. This sort of area where like your army's gonna be positioned near this ramp, and it's a lot easier to move slightly here to the left than all the way down here to the right to respond to a third base attack. And that's the problem with mech. It's very immobile, whether you're playing Hellbats, Thors, or Siege Tanks. I mean, it's gonna not be the most movable force you have. So for MarineLord's sake, I actually kind of like this base better being taken.
I'm wondering why DaNa's gonna continue investing into melee upgrades. He did bother get a Roach Warren and a Spire, so I guess we're gonna see, you know, Muta's out, but also a ton of Roaches. What is the melee for?
Maybe it's looking towards the late game with the Broodlords and the Ultras. I mean, it's late game that breaks mech more than early game, but there's no point investing in it if you're not gonna get there, right?
Yeah, it just seems like he's going to do like a really powerful attack with Roaches, and then he's going to follow up with Mutas, you know, because he's going to focus fire the Thors, and, well, actually, I should have had this first, so I'm not explaining the Roaches now, but this isn't that big of a force. I don't think it's desperate yet.
No, perhaps not, but Lings are going to get on top of the Thors. It's going to actually be fantastic. So, I mean, Lings are going to have a good role in this game, not with the Hellbats around, but if it takes out enough of the Hellbats, like, these Lings will deal with the Thors better than the Roaches will most of the time. completely pushes back this first attack, and with only a small amount of Vikings and a Banshee falls backwards. MarineLord, by the way, I just clued into this. I think he's trying to pull off like what 4GG was doing, primarily in the, you know, the sense you snipe off all the overseers, maybe your Banshee does a lot more damage.
Oh, I was like, ooh. It is going to be a mutagen after this. I feel like if he had just maxed out on roaches, he would be able to overwhelm. Of course, with that Banshee up in the air, I guess he wouldn't be able to actually end the game.
Well, the roaches get right on top of that tank. He does lose about half of them, but takes out the 2 tanks front guarding that ramp, so he's got a bit more free reign here towards the 4th base. Very awkward Marine outside the natural base of DaNa, but MarineLord not any mortal danger right now. But the Mutalisk transition is scary. You know, we talked about our interviews earlier. I know you brought it up then, and I'll bring it up again now. We saw the craziest way to deal with mech. You know, we've seen mass mutas work before. We saw Gosu user try and go what was almost 100 mutas versus Morrow on this map to break a mech army, and it almost worked too, which was kind of crazy. So, while this isn't going to be that extreme of a move, mutas do have their place in this matchup. They aren't just completely shut down by Thors and Vikings.
He just barely saw those mutas with those aliens.
Yeah.
And immediately starts up 3 Thors. He had, you know, he has Vikings and he has some missile turret coverage. So unless DaNa's able to pump out like 30 before, you know, MarineLord saw it, he wasn't really going to end the game with this. But he can certainly still add a lot of damage.
Well, the Lynx get on top of some of the tanks, but the Hellbats are actually doing a great job of guarding. Well, they get no bonus damage in that blue flame, but they stand just quite good with that splash. However, the mutas got to sideswipe everything, but get nothing for this. They perhaps could have dived and dedicated to the main, but the threat again, you know, you don't know if 3 Thors are going to pop, if there's Vikings waiting, and does have to pull back.
Yeah. I feel like DaNa would have been better off if you just like committed to one as opposed to doing both. You know, either a lot of roaches or a lot of mutas.
Yeah, perhaps could have had just that overwhelming effect, but I think one of the problems though is like he is going really heavy into mutas. So this is going to be one of those games where if he loses like 7 to 3 Thors, like that could possibly be game. I mean, it's a really expensive investment. You don't trade the same way you do versus Bio. The game shifts differently when MarineLord plays mech.
He has such a like good anti-muta force too. Like it's not even like that he has 3 Thors. It's actually whatever. It's the amount of Vikings that he has. Any amount of, you know, micro whatsoever. Actually not that bad against mutas. And of course, the Thors. So depending on the mutas to like clean everything up and then just barely take out the anti-air, not gonna happen. DaNa has to make emergency roaches, but those roaches again, they're not well upgraded. They only have 2 carapace, and they're also gonna be spawning kind of awkwardly as DaNa or MarineLord's already pushing that 3rd.
Yeah, I really like the 4th that MarineLord took behind this too. Like that's going to be pretty secure. Even if this army gets cleaned up, his production should at least cover his defenses. But the tanks take a good way to start this fight. However, the mutas are scary. I mean, it's no small amount of mutas. 22 mutas are nothing to scoff at. But there's no way that DaNa can just simply dive in here.
Yeah, I mean, he already took out 3 mutas. Just with some
this split is so sick though. This is like gets as much of his surround as he possibly can. Mutas are ignoring the Vikings, do spread out and try and take out the Thors, but the tanks are doing so much damage to the roaches. However, if you break that tank line, you would have been able to take out the Thors afterwards, but lots of drones go down to this attack. The SCVs that were carrying the Thors also fall. The Vikings start landing, and MarineLord just takes that fight so one-sidedly.